Okay, today we're starting our video with a slightly different juxtaposition of our usual videos, being that I am standing in the roof. Our basically completed roof just needs flashing now, which gives us a pretty good view around the property. Our little bodega out there housing our water tank and pump, and then up to the top of the property. Now, stopping here, this is our UPVC roof. This only works for people who are well organized. We have to order this months in advance because it is made in China. So depending on where you are, when a container is full, and at the price of containers these days, we certainly don't ship anything out of China that isn't in a full container. And this sheet comes in 11.8 meters or 40 feet, slightly less than 40 feet, and it fills from door to door on a container. Anyways, so this was ordered, I believe it'll be a year in March. So we ordered this, and it's been sitting in the warehouse in San Jose until about 2 weeks ago. We brought it up to install it. So here it is, and these, as compared to the metal roofs, these ones come with a base. This plastic base goes on, screw goes through that with a rubber washer in it to seal the hole, and then these plastic caps snap on top of those. So it leaves a fairly clean finish. Now on top of this, well, a good bit of today's video is going to be discussing roof systems here. The needs of roof system products are. Summer, although much cooler than out in the Pacific coast. It's hardly frigid. Anyway, so this little cupola that we built up here, the idea here is to keep the roof and the house cooler. Inside I'll show a little bit more details, but anyways, we have this going up. This whole roof structure goes, the rafters are very much a part of it. So what we have is the ceiling up here hung down in the rafter, so that what we created underneath there was an airspace. Well, this is exactly the size of the airspace. This is the nailer or clavadora here. So we've got this much space between the rafter and the roof, and then that is fastened to then there's another nailer fastened to the face of the rafters, and that's what's supporting the ceiling. So, but on top of the rafter is the reflective foil. So the reflective foil is right at this level. It's laying on top of the rafter. Then the clavadores go down, nailers go down, perpendicular for the screws to go into that sustain the roof. Now, underneath that, there's another nailer here, and then the ceiling is hung in here. And this space here is another air vent. So we've got basically two air chutes. In essence, there's one that can pass up. Now, these are all structured with it going this way, so the air will actually pass up on either side of the reflective foil. Now, very rarely have I found anybody in Costa Rica who installs a reflective foil correctly. anyways, the big issue here is it cannot be touching the roofing. There has to be an airspace in there for the reflective foil, whose entire job is to bounce out. When radiant heat comes in from up here, it enters here, goes down, hits the reflective foil, and bounces back out again, which is the whole mission. They typically put it right underneath the roofing. Well, you eliminate at least 40–50% of your effectiveness if those two are kissing. So that's an absolute disaster. So that's why the foil is at this level, and then there's another space underneath it. Now, that space is set up so that it's clear of all obstruction so that the air can go all the way up this roof, this cave in essence. So what happens is, in the morning when the sun comes up, it starts heating up the roof. You may have heard hot air rises. Well, same thing applies here. Anyways, so that hot air gets sucked in through those vents that are right there following, kissing the roof. So it comes in there, and then during the day, that air is going to get pulled up as it rises, and then it will get up to this upper vent here. Now, this is a two-way vent. The purpose here is through this cave here, and then it's getting sucked out, especially if there's a breeze blowing, like often there is, and you can see the trees moving there. So that's going to cause this, between the breeze and the Venturi principle, it's going to exhaust out up here. So keeping that air exchanging all day long in this cave. Now, come 4 o'clock and 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's going to pull the reverse. This air is going to start cooling off, and heavier, it's going to fall through that cave and exhaust out underneath the eaves there again. So you've got this two-way exchange twice a day, every day, doing its thing. So that's very important. Now, this air, the only thing that would ever change in this system if it's an air-conditioned space. This house is not air-conditioned, and nor will it ever need it, especially by controlling any daytime heat buildup, because that same vent in the center here also vents the upstairs bathroom as well, so that any of the moist hot air rises up and gets sucked out the roof. Anyways, so that's the whole. Oh, anyways, saying if it was going to be air conditioned at somewhere, you would need to put a layer of 1 or 2 inch styrofoam somewhere here underneath the roof on the cold side of the space, because that's for conductive heat. Now, radiant heat and conductive are totally different beasts and require totally different insulation materials to do that. Those two different jobs. One cannot be exchanged for the other, to put it mildly. So the idea is, if you're in an air-conditioned space, then you put a styrofoam underneath below the reflective, so that the cool air from inside runs into a roadblock and just doesn't go out through the cavity. But anyway, it's of no importance here. But anyways, for anybody who's watching this and is thinking about how to design a roof, those are your two enemies that you need to deal with. But at any rate, keeping this, of course, with the two-story design here, you've got really high ceilings. Everything is fanned. So on the first level there, everything has fans. So that keeps an air movement, and keeps this exhausting out. So there's, at no point in time is there a buildup of hot air in any way, shape, or form. So, anyways, and we also, see it, there's also a screen up underneath this here, these little mini rafters. There's a screen in there, just and it's sandwiched underneath the roofing so that no bugs and flying critters can come in and make a home inside, especially bats. Big problem, bats. If you give them a nice dark space to go hide in there, they'll hide in there, which isn't so bad, but the problem is they don't have the decency to go outside and go to the bathroom and they fill your roof cavity full of shit. Anyway, so not exactly what one is looking for. So anyways, now that pretty much exhausts. We've not done a roof like this before. First time we used truss rafters, and well, you know, because everything was designed around the climatic conditions up in San Carlos here. So that was the whole point of, you know, designing the roof system around what climate it's going to be living in. If you were parked out at the beach, well, this is, you know, well, the big thing is air conditioning. Space requires the control of conductive heat or cold. Anyways, that, well, kind of explains that whole system and how I basically designed this, what I did to design around this. And we've never used this, which is, I was first going to use screen, but I stumbled onto, while looking for something else one day, I stumbled onto this. You know, and anybody needing to do something like that, that is very clean and it's very tough. That nobody with a little beak is going to get his way into that stuff. And here, plastic has a problem of deteriorating drastically with age. But up here, it's out of the sun, so this life expectancy is a lot of years. Oh, other note, see, we put that foam, those foam strips in there. We put paint on them so that they hardened up. So again, somebody with a beak isn't going to come along and take the foam out of the rib of the roof and have an open entry to the roof cavity. So, you know, outside we don't care what they do. Well, and they have no attraction to do it because there's not a hidden place there. But anyway, so now I'm going to take. So now back in the ground. So we finished all of our panel work off this week. So we're just putting the stucco on these areas this morning, and we'll be all done. The ladder opening is complete, and the office area here, floor was finished off in it. And well, we're in full process of laminating up the ladder. So this is it all laminated together. So this goes in the wall and creates a handhold so that somebody basically can use these to pull their way up. So I mean, this is just old joinery, cabinet working tricks from days of old, and so everything's glued and clamped up on one side of the ladder. That all has to be, of course, routed out and rounded so it's comfortable. This one here is basically done in the last part of it, so that's well on its way. So now this is for all of the rungs of the ladder that will go in there and make one solid piece. So that kind of covers off everything for this last 2 weeks. We got our system is all charged. Our water system is all charged up. Just tapped it off until we get some more fittings here. For this is our laundry area out here, and there's an outdoor shower here. So that's ready to go to build that. Oh, and we built all these light boxes because, of course, with open ceiling, you kind of need something to support the LED lights. So there's the first box being installed right now. So we got 8 of those done in the same wood, matching wood, the Syrah matching wood to the floor, and light boxes up in the eave. And just well, the water system is fully functioning now. Well, everything was charged up there, so before we filled in all of the shower connections to make sure that there's no drastic errors. Not fun to close up a wall and find out you've got a leak. I mean, honestly, with the stainless steel cinch rings we use now with this system of PEX, we've never ever had one leak ever. So it's a pretty rare occurrence. You know, somebody gets going. Okay, so here's our pump humming along here with the and with all this we have a lock in here just in case, but there's the filter system. All right, taking the water out of sucking it out of the tank, pressing it up, and then sending it out to the house. So that pretty much covers today's edition. And with that, I shall sign off until another day. A good view of the house and the cupola from here. And we no longer have to look at those green tarps. I get tired of looking at them after a number of months.